Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's Thursday, not Thursday, it's Wednesday, November 22nd, and for today's video, Megan and I are going to be doing a day in the life vlog, but specifically like a day in the life as physical therapists. The idea being that we're going to try and do a better job of not like vlogging throughout the day necessarily, because you know we're still trying to just work, but being a little bit more mindful, like explaining what we're doing and explaining like our patients that we're seeing and like different treatments that we're doing, and stuff like that. So hopefully if we have some new viewers maybe potentially watching because they're interested in a career in physical therapy, that'll be more helpful for them, a little bit more geared towards them. We're still going to show like also the full day, hence why I'm filming in the morning. So it is 6:11 right now. I fed Vegas with breakfast, and I also am working on eating my breakfast. I need breakfast sandwich, and I have my V8 strawberry lemonade. I'm gonna chow down on this, and I will take Vegas on a walk. Good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday. Today, Sierra and I are going to try and do a day in the life vlog, but with a focus more on like our careers as physical therapists. And so we're going to try and do a little bit more explaining of like what our day-to-day looks like. We're going to try and probably explain maybe a little bit more about like the patients we're seeing, what we're doing for treatments, maybe different equipment that we're using or different assessments. I don't really know. We'll see what the day brings. Obviously we still have HIPAA and many things we cannot record, so I hate to, you know, as much as I would love to be like a show don't tell vlog, we're gonna be kind of limited still with that, and so we'll do our best. Anyways, Sierra is taking Vegas on a walk right now. She is hanging out with him this morning, and then I am going to go to the gym here shortly. And then I'm planning on doing Starbucks for breakfast. If you guys don't know, Sierra and I are, there's different settings for physical therapy. When you graduate PT school, you are a generalist, so you can practice in any setting. And there are different specializations you can get, but you don't necessarily need them. So Sierra and I both work in skilled nursing and long-term care, and that basically means that these facilities are where people go to live if they need more help with like getting around and assistance. Sometimes there's like memory specific units, and those are varying levels of care, but this is like even a step up from like assisted living facilities, so long-term care is a step above that. And then skilled care is where someone might go to stay and get therapy if they just had a hospitalization, either from like an injury or they were sick, and if they stayed in the hospital for like 3 overnights and they're not safe enough to go home or to where they were at before, then typically they'll go to get additional therapy at either a skilled nursing facility or inpatient rehab. Inpatient rehab is more intense. It is like 3 hours of therapy 5 days a week, and so those are maybe for people who are injured, who are kind of young, and they're able to handle more and tolerate more therapy. Skilled therapy is kind of where everyone else goes, so they might have less tolerance to therapy, and that's going to be like an hour and a half or up to an hour and a half typically of therapy 5 days a week, between PT and OT. And so at my buildings, it kind of depends. One of my buildings is like pretty heavy memory care, and so if we get someone skilled there, they still have to have a dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis. Severity, again, depends, but typically we're not looking at sending those people home. They were either at home, but now they're needing to go to a higher level care, whether or not that's staying at the facility or like an assisted living somewhere else. These people aren't typically going to be safe enough to like return home, especially not like alone. At Sierra's facilities and a couple other of my buildings, there is definitely the people who come in skilled, and plan is for them to go home. at the end of therapy. So common diagnosis that we might see for skilled therapy, I mean a very, very common one is like broken hip, broken leg from falls. Some people are just admitted with like altered mental status or like more confusion, and so you're kind of not really rehabbing from like a super specific injury, but you're helping them to get stronger and likely doing therapy with them in the meantime while their family's trying to figure out like where they're gonna go stay now. And then long-term care, the residents that live there, we'll pick them up for therapy if, like I said, they need assistance with getting around, whether that's walking or in their wheelchair or with transfers. So typically staff and CNAs that work at the buildings will recognize that the patient's having a harder time, or the patient themselves could report they're having a harder time, and then we could pick them up for therapy just like someone would go to outpatient therapy. But the stuff that we focus on is typically not going to be like outpatient ortho type of problems like shoulder pain or back pain. It could be. I have seen people with things related to that, but oftentimes it is more so related to they're having a harder time getting around with transfers, walking, or things like that. Now, I technically work at a few different buildings because my company contracts out to different buildings. So my schedule kind of just depends on the day, but today I'm mostly at one building and then I have to go to a second building for 2 people that I'm seeing. Lighting, but I think this is okay. Before I go in to work, I was going to show you guys what I typically am carrying on me at all times during the day. Number 1 is a pulse ox. So this is just what you put on someone's finger to get their heart rate and their oxygen. It's just good to monitor that with activity. So I'm always carrying that. And then I don't carry this around, but I do have like a clipboard thing. I store a few things in here and then I'll like take them out in the beginning of the day just to like have with me. 1, always need a pen to write stuff down, whether that's vitals. I'm always carrying like a schedule, like a printout of the day with like my patients, so I can write down start times with them, how many minutes I've gotten with them. Sometimes I'll write down like goals specifically that we're focusing on, just so I can kind of like stay on track during our session. And then another thing that I'm usually always carrying around is a tape measure. Typically I use this for some of the standardized tests that have like a reaching component. But you could also use it to measure like swelling. I've done that a handful of times, comparing like right and left or things like that. So those are typically the main things. Another thing, I don't carry this with me. I used to actually carry around a smaller version, but I just don't use them that much, and all I have is this giant one now, but it's a goniometer. This is my personal one. I just keep in my backpack. We got it when we were in school. You use it to measure like range of motion. I don't use it very much. I feel like lighting's getting worse. I just have one more thing I was going to show you. My facility also has these, but I do have a personal one technically that we got in school. It's a gait belt. So this is what you put on people that you're walking with, testing balance on. I put one on every single person that I'm working with, just because I feel like it's safer and I don't want something to like, I don't want to not have something to hold on to. But how it works, it honestly, like when I first remember, when we first got these in PT school and we were first like kind of practicing doing them, it's so funny because you're just like, it's not very smooth. But there's like a part that has teeth in it and then another folding part. You need to bring it in through there first, pull it tight, and then you bring it around with like the little extra tail through that, and then it stays pretty tight. So usually I wear this around just like a little sash all day long. All right, don't mind Vegas. I'm getting ready to change to get ready for work. Working in skilled nursing and long-term care, we don't have like a specific uniform. So like typically everyone just wears scrubs. Doesn't have to be a specific color. So these ones are blue. Look how cute Vegas looks right now. So I'm gonna change into this and get ready to go. So I just pulled into my work parking lot and I want to talk to you guys about like productivity and billing before going in. Also the other thing about working like skilled nursing or long-term care. One nice thing is that we don't have like a specifically set schedule, so I can technically clock
clock in whenever I want, as long as I get like my full work day done. So I typically, like, my hours aren't that different from a typical 9 to 5. I will typically try and clock in between 8:15 and 8:30. It's currently 8:10 right now. And then I'm usually trying to be done between 4:45 and 5, which kind of works out just best because the residents at the long-term care facility and then like the assisted living that I also help out at have certain set meal times that I try and work around because people are going to want to work with me, like when they're finishing breakfast or lunch or dinner. So there's that. And then as far as productivity and billing for physical therapy, usually each company has like a productivity standard, which is basically like of the 8 hours that you're working within a day, a certain percentage they want that to be treatment time or like direct one-on-one patient care time, and that will differ based off of companies. But in that regard, you want to like make sure that you're staying on top of your documentation, trying to do documentation point of service as best you can, which basically just means like as you are working with the patient, you're also like writing down what you're doing and all of that, and you're not saving all of the documentation for the end of the day, and taking up like more time than you need to. There's also different types of documents that need to be filled out. So every single visit is going to have like an encounter note or a treatment note, which is saying like, these are the exercises we did. This is like if you were walking, here's how far we walked, and just like the stuff that you're paying attention to. And then there's evaluations, which is the first visit when you have to like really get an all-encompassing picture of like this person and what you need to work on with them for their therapy. It's when you come up with their plan and set some goals for them. That usually takes a little bit longer. We have progress reports and recertifications, which are essentially, they're kind of similar, but one looks at like for progress reports, are we meeting certain goals? Do we need to adjust anything? Do we need to upgrade or downgrade any of our goals? And then recertifications are to continue therapy services. Usually a therapy case is set for like, you know, from A time to B time. And if you want to continue therapy after like that set time period, then you need to do a recertification for a future time period. And then a discharge is when you're done with therapy, you have to do like a final report of how they did when you're done with therapy. And so typically in the morning, I'll give myself like 15 minutes to look at my schedule for the day, figure out if I have any evaluations, progress reports, like any other documentation that like I'm going to have to pay attention to and like get like time in for that. Then as far as billing, we have different therapy codes that we bill under. And so if we're doing gait training or exercise or therapeutic activity, manual therapy, all of those and like a million other things are different codes, and you just bill based off of like the amount of time you spend working on each of those things. So like if I spent X time doing gait training, then I say I spent this many minutes and we did this, and then like that gets billed under that code. So I think that is a good enough explanation. I will try and kind of show you guys me getting things situated. Obviously we have to like, you know, follow HIPAA. We can't be showing you everything that we're doing, but I'm gonna try and give you guys some insight on like the specifics that we are doing today. So I'm driving to my second building for the day. This is my last building. I've got 2 discharges I'm supposed to do at this building. So I figured I would use my drive time to chat a little bit about what I've done so far today, talk about any highlights and or other things. I had an unexpected skilled eval. When I say skilled, that just means this person, well, I talked about that earlier this morning actually. They had actually been at a different skilled facility and were transferred to ours this morning. They were pretty high functioning though, so it was honestly like not too bad of an eval. And it was nice to get that done like right away. So I had 1 eval today and a like recertification for another patient. You try to do that paperwork as much during your session as you can. Also easier said than done. But I got as much treatment time as I was like kind of scheduled for today, but some of it was more with people who weren't scheduled for as long, and then some I didn't get full treatment time with what they were scheduled for. But I kind of hit a certain point where I was like, I gotta go to my next building to do these discharges. So it's kind of a judgment call. I already like warned my rehab director that I was doing that with a few patients. At the end of the day, like, it is what it is. I did what I could, I saw who I could, and I gotta go to the next building now so I can see them. And so at this building, like I said, I'm doing 2 discharges. So I am familiar with the patients. I've worked with them. One is actually discharging because they're going home with home care, and then the other person, this kind of bleeds into what I was talking about earlier with skilled therapy. With Medicare Part A, that's what all inpatient billing is done through, you get a certain number of skilled days, and we have reached the maximum number of skilled days for one of our patients, so we have to discharge her, but then she is still staying at the facility for more therapy, but we're picking her up under what's called Part B, which is kind of just outpatient therapy. So we will still be seeing her regularly. We're still going to be doing therapy with her, but it's just not going to be every single day of the week. So it is kind of annoying because you literally only do that for insurance purposes and all of that, but like functionally, like we're picking her right back up on caseload. So I have to do a discharge, do all this paperwork, and then we need to like reevaluate her. Someone has to reevaluate her sometime next week. But you know, it is what it is. So that is kind of the rest of my day and what it looks like. I'm trying to think of anything else. But I feel like that was mostly it. I know that it's probably annoying. Hopefully Sarah can record a little bit more interesting stuff, but like I just feel like I was going a million miles an hour and could not stop and take like a single break today. So options are already limited with what I'm able to record. I feel like basically nothing. Alright, so since I'm on my lunch break, I'll see if I can talk you through my morning, since I also have the gym all to myself. So I started off with a group of 3, and they're all pretty high functioning, so I mostly did like a balance and walking group with them. So the way that I facilitate that is we actually had like these like giant foam puzzle pieces to like make a big picture. So I scattered these foam puzzle pieces around the small room that we were in, and then they all stand up to like go and collect the pieces, and it challenges their balance by having them do frequent turning, navigating obstacles, bending down, reaching outside their base of support, letting go of like their walker or their device that they're holding on to like get these pieces, and then they bring them all together and they can finish the puzzle. So that was the group that I started with. So someone for like 40 minutes before lunch, working mostly on endurance stuff. So I'm monitoring their oxygen and their heart rate just to like measure their fatigue, because obviously you can see their shortness of breath, but you want to make sure that you're like monitoring their actual vitals. His fingers are like kind of cold and like don't read with the pulse ox very well, so sometimes it just like takes time to get a good reading. Then I did co-treat with OT for a little bit of someone's session. These are all skilled patients so far, by the way, except for the other person that I mentioned for endurance was a Part B. He is right toe touch weight bearing, which basically just means that he can put all this weight through his left side, but he has a right hip fracture, and so he can only like just barely put his toes down and not really put any weight through it. He's not the best at maintaining those precautions, and so we had a co-treat between me and the OT to like do some transfers and hopping gait while trying to make sure he was actually following those precautions. I did some strengthening with him as well. I saw another Part A down here on the first floor for 45 minutes. She suffered from, I think it was like a history of a left-sided stroke, but I don't think it was like an actual recent one, but it just got worse. Or like her left side weakness was more pronounced most recently. So we worked on just like a lot of gait training or walking to get her used to sticking that left foot out in front, getting her heel to hit the floor first because she kind of catches her toe on that side. And then we did some standing balance stuff, doing some toe taps, and then some standing exercises, because obviously that's good for strengthening. It's also good for like that coordination and motor planning of like having to pick her toe up off the floor to make sure that it doesn't catch when she's walking. And then we did some like transfers and bed mobility and stuff, just because I wanted to make sure that she wasn't lacking on any of that stuff, and that stuff looked pretty good. And I think that was it for my morning so far. I have a couple of home health people that I'm supposed to see in the building across the street. They're both discharges today, so hopefully I can look at their medical record and they're like okay to discharge. Sometimes if I look in the record and it shows like they had a fall or something, then that would be something that would prevent me from discharging them from therapy, but I don't think either of them have. And that's stuff where like our home health stuff is technically on a different service or through a different company than like the actual company that I work for. So we have like, I carry around a Chromebook or like a computer laptop all day for my notes for that. And then I have like a tablet that I use for home health stuff. So it can be kind of annoying to like carry all that stuff around. I think I have 4 more skilled people that I have to see 2 home health people, and then maybe another part B. My hope is that I can group 2 of my skilled people since they're both upstairs, and I want to work on like more standing balance with them. So like maybe having them like stand at a table to like play some sort of like card game or like whatever game I can find. I don't know, like just something to like have them challenge their balance while they're standing. I think that would be good and appropriate for them. I can also show you, this is the bag that I carry around with me all day. It has all of my stuff that I use on a regular basis. My front pocket, I have a pulse ox for looking at heart rate and oxygen. And then I also have a tape measure because sometimes we need to know distances for certain tests. On the inside, I carry around my gait belt. 6 cones, these are great for like doing cone taps or reaching, placing stuff around the room, having people go collect them. Love my cones. And then I have a variety of TheraBands, ankle weights. Trust me, this gets like heavy when I'm carrying it around. I have too many ankle weights in here. I probably don't need to carry this much, but whatever. And then I have a goniometer in here somewhere for, there you go. This is my goniometer. It works as a ruler for some reaching stuff, and then if I'm like doing any range of motion measurements, then that's what that's for as well. Now heading across the street to the assisted living facility. I was just in like the skilled nursing long-term care building, and this is where I'm doing some of my home health visits. I have 2 that I'm gonna do. I'm heading home now, and today, like, what a day to choose to do this video, because like today was such a long day. I don't usually work over 8 hours. Today was like an 8.5 hour day. Part of it has to do with that it's a holiday week, which like for most people probably is a blessing because then it's kind of like chill vibes. For therapy, I feel like it means that you might kind of get thrown like more skilled admission people that you were anticipating. So for example, I showed up at my first building today. We had a skilled admit, so then not only was it on my schedule for today that I had an eval I wasn't expecting to do, I also have to now see them tomorrow because I am working Thanksgiving. We only have to see the skilled people because they need to be seen 5 days a week. You don't have to do it on Thanksgiving, but I don't want to go in over the weekend, so I'm just doing it tomorrow morning. I should still be done by lunch, but I was only going to have 2 people I had to do, and now I've got 3, and so it's like that was kind of a bummer way to start the day, but I will live. And then at my second building that I was saying, I only had 2 discharges I needed to do. I show up and I had an eval I needed to do there as well. So everyone got like kind of some shorter, a slightly shorter eval and some shorter discharges, but I did what I needed to do and I got out of there. So, woo! I even, at least like at that building, they have some candy that we have in the therapy room. So I did snag a couple of those to take with me just to, because it was either I needed to do the eval either today or tomorrow, and I was like, well, I do not want to do it tomorrow, so I just sucked it up, got it done, and I have a shorter day tomorrow at least. My Friday looks kind of scary, but we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. It's 5:30 right now. I will talk to you guys more when I get home because the lighting in this car is awful. I hate how dark it gets at like 5:30. It sucks. Anyway, talk to you when I get home. So Sierra and I have decided that when she gets home, we're gonna do a little, you're not allowed up here, mukbang, catch up on each other's days, have you guys catch up on our days. We can talk about anything we didn't get around to talking about. So I'm trying to order some food for her to pick up so that it would be ready by the time she gets there, pretty close. And it's like taking forever to go through. We're gonna do some Mexican food. Okay, so it is 6 o'clock. I got home like 15 minutes ago probably. I am probably gonna take Vegas on a walk, and then Megan will be picking up food probably at some point when we're on our walk. I hope we can get in at least a mile today. This morning when I took him on a walk, I was guesstimating around like 3/4 of a mile, but he kept like just pulling and wanting to like turn around, like legit like full body jumping in the air, landing on his back, trying to like turn us around. So I was like, fine, we'll go home. My goodness.
Saving us from something.
Maybe.
Something
You got
sketchy.
6 cents or something? I don't know. So we'll try our regular mile round and see if he's feeling up for it. And then when Megan and I get our dinner, we're gonna do a little mukbang and discuss the rest of our days and just chat with each other, which like is honestly just what Meg and I do on a regular basis anyways, is like catch each other up on our days. So that will be the plan. I'm gonna try and get things set up so that by the time Sierra's back from her walk, we can just sit down, chat, feast. So I got some tacos, which also comes with beans and rice. It all comes with chips and salsa. And then Sierra got a fajita burrito. I already told them about my morning for the most part, so I was just gonna update them my afternoon. I had 2 home health visits. Both of them were discharged, and so I had to go. I started to take a clip of me going across the street after my lunch. Because they were discharges, I mostly had to just make sure that they had met all of their goals. So they were both a little bit shorter visits. I think one was like 25 and one was like just over 30. And then I came back. I had 4 skilled people that I had to see before I left, and so I ended up seeing all of them, and then I had Part B that was on my schedule that I did not see, although I knew at the beginning of the day that I was going to see them because I had such a full day anyways. And I was gonna do a group of 2 skilled, but then I just felt like it wasn't like appropriate by the time I got to it, which is fine because I feel like I would rather not do a group if I can help it, and I feel like we did some stuff working more towards their goals. I got one guy walking the furthest that I've walked him so far, so that was good. And like the other girl that I was gonna put in a group, we also focused on like standing and balance before trying to start walking, so that was good. And that was pretty much my day. I was done seeing people around 5:10, and then I just had to spend like a few minutes finishing up documentation. I had to call a family member to get like some time scheduled for like doing some family training, which is common for people who are skilled. I'm going to be returning home with someone to like make sure like the family can help. No, he never poops and walks. Since I feel like I kind of already like told you guys about my day, we're gonna talk about some standardized tests that Sierra and I might use on like a regular basis. Obviously standardized tests are helpful because then you kind of have like objective research and data say like, oh, like this cutoff score means that in theory this person should be safe for this or whatever, but you always have to kind of use your judgment as well because you're the one working especially with the like in the setting that we're working in, people who have dementia or some sort of cognitive deficits, a lot of these tests require you to follow directions. Yeah, and like sometimes they literally cannot. Right. So it really also takes like the right patient, the appropriate patient to like be able to have a standardized test and like complete that. So I might use what's called the EMS, it's the Elderly Mobility Scale. I use that one pretty often because it kind of shows how much assistance someone needs to like get around, and if their goal is to maybe like return to some decreased level of care, then like their score should go up. There's different cutoffs, but I don't need to get into specifics. It's not really a balance specific test, it's not a strength specific test, it's just like being able to like get around it. It measures like how much help they need getting in and out of bed, reaching, walking, things like that. For balance testing, I feel like the one I use most often if I'm doing like a balance test is the TNEDI. So it just kind of gives their fall risk after you score things up. It includes walking as well as like closing their eyes, applying like some perturbations, pushing them backwards. And you can kind of use it to like determine if they should be having an assistive device with your judgment. Berg is one that's like higher level balance training. I do that every once in a while, but it takes the right patient. I will also do the TNEDI sometimes if there's like a higher level patient that is capable of it. My facility tries to use like what's called like the B study program. I don't know who made it, but they have like 3 tests that they want people to do for balance, which is the tug or the timed up and go, the 30-second chair raise, and then the 4-stage balance test. And then like the combination of all those tests are like their gold standard of like looking at fall risk and stuff. It's not, I usually do that like, again, if it's someone who like is at high risk of falling, then like I'll focus more on like balance training and that stuff. A lot of skilled people, it's just general functional mobility of like, can you get in and out of bed? Can you walk? So then I tailor like usually the EMS for that stuff. So that's kind of the gist of some of the tests that we typically do. Megan and I are gonna finish eating our dinner, and I'll let Vegas out so that he can bother us. And then we'll get back to you maybe when we're starting to make our cheesecake. It is 8:13. I just finished, finally, reading Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Gave it 3.5 stars, which is basically always my rating for books that I know were objectively good and like, you know, very worthy of praise, but didn't really hit that hard for me. So, I'm just glad to be done. It was a long book. Again, it was fine, just like, took me forever to read. So I'm planning on doing a reread of Beach Read next. I'm very excited about that one. Hopefully I can speed read that and get back on track to meet my book reading goal. Meg and I are going to make some chocolate chip cookie dough cheesecake because tomorrow's Thanksgiving and our contribution is dessert. So we need to get everything out. Quite literally forgot that we were recording this. So how this recipe works, you make like a cookie dough mix here, which is this. There's so many chocolate chips in here every time we make it. We're always like, are you supposed to add that many chocolate chips? And then this is the cheesecake base. So once that's done getting mixed, we will add it to our chocolate pie tin. And then we put dollops of cookie dough. Cheesecake is done. I think it went in for like 38 minutes. So we'll let it cool off a little bit and then we'll put it in the fridge. That'll be good to go for tomorrow. It's 9:10 right now, so probably stay up for just a little bit longer, take Vegas out one more time before we head up to bed. Good night. Be tight. Don't let the respiratory illness bite. Say good night, Vegas. Good night. Okay, that's probably going to be it for tonight. I'm about to crawl into bed and read for a little bit. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's daily vlog. Hopefully we were able to provide a little bit more insight into what a typical day looks like being physical therapists in the skilled nursing and long-term care setting. So if you guys have any other questions or comments, we'll try and answer a few down below. If you guys want to see any other like PT related videos, feel free to comment those as well and we'll try to do those to the best of our abilities. Thanks for watching and you'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!